Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Issues in Our Tissues. And I'm going to be talking about domestic abuse, but I'm answering a question how to identify an abuser. In the clip that I shared, you know, domestic abuse, I got some couple of questions, and one of them that I was able to answer was, why does a victim stay in an abusive relationship? And so in this one, I am going to be answering the question of why or how to identify an abuser. Now, let me just share something small here. Um, a domestic violence is usually as a result of two broken people trying to make a relationship that is whole. It is impossible because a broken person has a tendency to draw another broken person, and a whole person is usually attracts another whole person. It's almost impossible for a broken person to be drawn, or to be attracted to a whole person, or rather, actually, it's almost impossible for a person who is whole to be attracted to someone who's broken. For the most part, it's almost impossible, and so an abuser, it is somebody who has like a million issues that they have not been able to resolve. And so when you are attracted to them, or when they bring you into their lives, you also become another issue that they have to resolve. And that's why it comes down to having domestic violence. Also, an abuser or an abused person, the reason why they attract each other is because a broken person is have this tendency to want to cling onto something, that fills their void. FILLS. Another broken person to come in and fill their void. So and that is why to answer this question, how you identify an abuser can be a little tricky because it's a very thin line. Now, well, there's some obvious behaviors of an abusive person, and I know them well because I lived in an abusive relationship, or stayed in an abusive relationship, or I invited an abusive relationship into my life, and for 2 years I endured it. Why? Because I was broken, and I think, not that I think, but I know. Now I know, then I didn't. I was inviting someone who was broken in a million pieces to fill my void. And guess what? I became his issue. And so I suffered every level of abuse in a relationship that I had no business being in. So, some of the things that I noticed about a person who is an abuser is that, for one, they are very controlling beings, because they want to control. It doesn't come out as control in the beginning, because when someone calls you so many times and they want to know where you are, what you're doing, who you are with, may seem like love at the beginning, but honestly, at the end, you realize that it's just a matter of being controlling, because they want to know who you are with, what you're doing with the one that you are with. And, for most abusers, they think that you're cheating on them. And because most abusers will cheat on you, because cheating on you with somebody else is also an abuse. It's an emotional abuse. And another thing that an abuser will do, they will want to control your social life. They want to control who your friends are. They want to control your relationship with your family members. And I remember one time when I would call my mom, because I would try call her maybe every once a week because I was far away from her. I remember this abuser telling me that if you become my wife, you will never call your mom the way you always do. I didn't even think about it, but now I know, when you're out of it, that's when you realize, wow, that was abuse by itself. An abuser will also, they don't come out obvious. They don't come out obvious. Their words don't come out obvious. But in the long run, you realize that they will say very mean words to you. And an abuser tells you mean things because they want to destroy your self-esteem. I remember that I would wear something, and I would be told, "Why are you wearing that ugly thing? Yet you really spent some bit of money on whatever outfit you're putting on, but they will make you feel that it's ugly, and you almost believe it." And then I remember words like, he will tell me things like, "People wonder why I'm dating somebody as filthy as you." He will use a third person, the third person's, tense. But in the actual fact, came to realize much later that it was him who was telling me that you're filthy. But he's saying, people are wondering why I'm dating such a filthy person like you. That will make you stay in that relationship. Because why? Because you feel, if I'm filthy, then if I leave, who is going to love me, and I'm filthy? And that word grows in your head because you're broken. And because you're broken and you've been told you're filthy, then you believe you're filthy, and you stay on believing that this person is loving you, yet you're filthy, which is just a lie from the devil. I mean, honestly, just so wrong. Anyway, an abuser will say very mean things like, "You're ugly, I don't even know why I'm with someone like you who's so ugly," or, "I don't even know why I'm with someone like you who is so fat. I don't know why I'm with someone like you who is so thin." I mean, just mean things that you will take them in and own them. But in the actual fact, since you don't have your own self-worth and you don't have your own self-value, you will take in those words, and they will grow inside of you, and before you know it, you start living them. You start living like the words and the mean words that you're being told that you are, which is just so wrong on so many levels. Anyway, another sign of an abuser is that they try to get to know exactly what's going on your phone. With this with this age of technology, they want to know what's going on your phone. The minute you leave your phone, they will have scrolled through it. A person who is secure and whole and complete, they have no business going into your phone because they trust you. And that's why I was saying, in an abusive relationship, there is no trust, there is no respect, and there is no love, basically. Because love, respect, and trust, they're triplets, they go together. And so when one is missing, the other one is missing too. Now, they will scroll through your phone. I know he used to scroll through my phone. He used to know who I'm talking to, when I'm talking to them, how long I'm talking to them. And I would just hear things being mentioned. I'm like, how did he even know that? But I was broken, so I was allowing things like that to happen. An abusive person will try to control your finances. They will also try to control you're making money because they don't want you to be independent. They are controlling. They don't want you to be dependent. They want to control your money. So a lot of abusers have you stay home. He had me stay home. He wanted to go work and he wanted me to stay home. Obviously, I was in a very ungodly relationship. So I suffered the consequences of being in a very ungodly relationship. So they want you to stay home. They don't want you to go to work. They want to control your money. They want you to ask for money to go shop. They want you to go to ask for money to go do whatever you're doing, so that you're not doing anything extra out of what they want you to do. Another sign of an abusive person, even spiritually, they abuse you spiritually, in the sense that they'll criticize you being trying to be close to God. If you're going to church, they'll tell you that you're going so that you can meet other people. They'll criticize the way you dress. They'll tell you that you're dressing in a certain way so that you can go and attract the opposite sex. Yeah, because they are not complete, they are not whole, they're insecure. That brings me to the next point. An abusive person is completely insecure. They are so insecure. Every moment, every time they feel like they have to be in a competition with somebody. And that's a sign of being so void, of being so broken. You are so insecure. Every moment you're thinking they're talking to someone, and they're going, this person will be taken away from you. I mean, they are so insecure. It's also a sign of an abuser. Well, when you are already in a relationship, or in a relationship that is abusive, when you note some of those funny elements that don't seem normal to you, don't ignore them. Start questioning yourself. Is this the correct way to be treated? Is it the right way that I need to be treated? But to avoid all this, being in a domestic violent relationship, the best thing to do is to make sure that if before you get into a relationship, you are whole. And one of the mistakes that a lot of people do is that they jump from one relationship to the other. And what happens is that when you jump from one relationship to the other, before you have resolved the issues that you had gone through in your previous relationship, you carry your baggage into the next relationship, and you bring in issues to a relationship that don't need to be there. So before you get into another relationship, please make sure that you give yourself time to heal and to be whole. Identify the places in your life that have some pockets, some holes that need to be filled with with someone else, who is as broken as you. So identify what's going on in your life. Identify what went wrong in the previous relationship, because a broken relationship is not always about one person. It's always, these two people who make up a relationship. So there is something that was your fault, it was something that was his fault, and so it's good to resolve everything before getting into another relationship, because getting into a relationship with a baggage in your closet is what is going to make your next relationship not work. So give yourself time to heal. Finally, let me just put it this way. The only way to get yourself feeling worthy, feeling whole, feeling variable, it is only filling your void with God. You can resolve your issues by looking for someone that you can talk to. There's some good friends who are able to advise you correctly. There's some good friends who are able to give you godly counsel. When you've been so broken in a relationship, avoid having rebound relationships, because those ones also could lead to, an abusive relationship. So learn to heal, seek godly counsel, and seek God. God has a way of making us whole as human beings, and so it is so important to find our worth in God, our value in God, and to base our to base our value on how God sees us, not how human beings sees us, because a human being will never be perfect, will never be whole in the eyes of a human being. But if look we gauge ourselves with how God sees us and the value that He sees in us, we will be able to feel valuable and be able to be whole. And so when we are whole, we attract whole people. And when we attract whole people, then we have a whole relationship. I hope this has blessed you. I hope that there's something you have taken from this. And I thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, sorry. If you, it's always a hard word for me to say. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, and so that you can be able to see my other videos as I upload them. And I hope that you'll be blessed every time. See you next time.